The Chinese constantly pick on Japanese. When can this hate stop? They never got to hear that. We are sorry, we apologize, we recognize. And until they hear it, they will never stop. Don't do the same thing I did. Don't watch both of these movies in the same day. There is so much we don't know. To give you a heads up, this is not going to be a very short video. I wanted to watch these movies for a while now. I've read about them, I've heard about history, but now I really want to watch. I'm trying to understand why is never again a mantra in the West and why Americans are allowed not to forget 9/11. World War II and the Holocaust are kind of cornerstones of modern Europe, but China and the rest of Asia are supposed to just let go of whatever happened in World War II. Is it because Japanese became a key ally to the US in the West when it comes to controlling the Pacific and being a shield against the Soviet Union? Or because it was just more politically convenient? I don't know. When the West is trying to remember that history that is dealing with historical trauma, but when China is trying to do the same for itself and all of the Asian countries, then it is stoking nationalism and invoking hatred against Japan. I don't get it. It's weird. For decades, we've seen movies such as Pearl Harbor, movies about the Nazi Germany and the wars in Europe. We sat through those and we accepted that as part of history and dealing with the historical facts. And once we get the movies such as 731 or movie about the rape of Nanjing, then the whole narrative kind of shifts and but shouldn't we move on? Why don't we just forget this and let the past be past? I mean, it's been so long ago and it's absolutely and utterly unfair. Look at my hair. Okay, I don't know if you can see all of my hair standing just by kind of recalling all of this. Yeah, I want to use this chance to talk about this glaring double standards when it comes to the narrative, because in the West we don't know about Unit 731, we don't know about the rape of Nanjing and the atrocities the Japanese did across Asia. And I think we all need to know. And I think people need to be aware that these things have happened. China deserves, as well as the rest of Asia, their own never again. The world seems to be operating on a hierarchy of grief. Some people's suffering and pain widely accepted, while the other people is just being portrayed as, I don't know, propaganda? How can you diminish the pain and suffering of such a number of people just by calling it a convenience for a political persuasion? All of these things, both for Nanjing and the Unit 731, have been documented. For Nanjing, way more extensively than for Unit 731. In 1997, one of the people who was a part of Unit 731, a Japanese person, came forward and talked about what has happened. It seems the world is failing to recognize that World War II was a global plague and a global outbreak that has affected everybody in horrendous, horrendous ways. I am watching these movies back to back because I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to see, I'm trying to educate myself, and not to stoke hatred, but to be a part of the solution. When it comes to the overview of this on global stage, I want to share this with both of you here in China and abroad, and my opinion of this situation. This movie, 731, that I've just watched, kind of made me remember. And there was Dr. Mengele, which is remembered as the one who was making tests and experiments on dwarfs, women, twins, and similar. Unit 731 did something similar, but the scale was way different. Mengele was in Auschwitz. A single doctor with his team conducting these experiments was an isolated thing, while Unit 731 and other units across China were part of the organized nationwide push towards developing bacterial weapons, different bioagents, and tests were conducted on such a much larger scale. The death toll out of those is immense. They have released agents across Asia, across China, in different places. The number of civilian casualties, not just the people that were tested on, but the civilian casualties were immense. The movie features different scenes and different visuals from the tests that we're conducting. If you're sensitive and your stomach is sensitive, please do not watch these movies. I think one of the reasons why we don't see movies about World War II being aimed as hating the Germans is because the Germany actually accepted their role in World War II. They accepted what they did and they apologized and they tried to make amends, while the Japanese never did. They still have equal celebrations of people who have committed these atrocities and these crimes without any consolation to the victims and any acceptance of their role in World War II and what they did across Asia and not just in China. So my conclusion is that these two movies are based on historical data and they are real and they should not be ignored and they should not be forgotten. Because it seems that our Eurocentric and Western-centric education has left seething gaps between what we think we know and what is actually true. The truth doesn't have a shelf life. It doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't know convenience. It only knows what it is, truth. The fact that the movie about Nanjing was actually documented by photographers and all of these atrocities were photographed and then later on released, that only tells to the extent of the devastation and the destruction that has happened and warrants a historical truth that needs to be acknowledged. There was this sentence in the movie that went, Chinese people are like scattered sand, they're never united. That may have been truth, but it's not true anymore. So if there are any two movies about the Asian history and World War II that you watched this year, let it be these two. The 731, the Nanjing Massacre one, because you don't get to whitewash the truth and label it any way you please, only because you don't know about it or you don't want to learn about it. Why are the other Asian nations still so hung up about this World War II? They never get to hear, we are sorry, we apologize, we recognize, we will never do this again. These travesties and atrocities were done by us, but we repent, we are sorry. They never got to hear that, and until they hear it, they will never stop being hung about it. That's it.
从离家门前走一走，问你是知觉还是思想？